And you're welcome for our very first big report for today. We turn our attention to a case that once again places Nigeria's democracy under scrutiny. The legal battle between the Inspector General of Police and activist and politician Omoyele Sowore. Sowore, a known critic of the government, has been granted bail set at 10 million naira with a surety in like sum. Additionally, the court ordered him to asked him to surrender his passport. Could you believe it? It's a very coveted passport, I would say, his international passport, effectively limiting his mobility with the ongoing case. Now, this raises critical questions about whether this is a legitimate legal process or an attempt to stifle dissent. Does this case set a precedent for how Nigeria handles political opposition? Where does this balance, or rather, where does the balance lie between free speech and maintaining law and order? Our correspondent Joshua Marai has been following this case closely and brought us this report from over the week. Take a look.
These protesters chanted songs of solidarity despite the heavy presence of police demanding the immediate release of activist and politician Omoyele Sowore. They also called on the government to release all individuals currently being detained for participating in any form of protest in the country.
Sowore, just because he's asking for the right thing, is also under arrest. He's on trial now, and we say drop the charges against him now. Drop the charges against him now.
Come January 30th, 2025, Honorable Justice Musa Suleiman Liman is expected to rule on the bail applications presented before him by the counter representing Sowore, who has prayed the courts to grant Sowore bail based on self-recognizance.
There is a 16-count charge filed against Mr. Sowore in court today, all centered on his challenge on the illegal occupation of the office of the IG by the present occupants. Section 367 of the police regulations prohibits the filing of a charge of this nature by a police officer who is using the instrument of his office as a tool of settling personal vendetta.
I'm urging the Inspector General of Police to stop abusing his power, his office. What he's doing is abuse of power, abuse of office, simpliciter. There's no any other name for it. How can you be because somebody criticizes you? You are using taxpayers' money to prosecute and victimize your critic, because he has criticized you, he has called you illegal. If somebody says you are an illegal IG, you would just ignore him now if you are not illegal.
Sowore, however, revealed his reasons for declining the administrative bail offered to him by the police.
I cannot, in good conscience, continue to participate in illegality. The courts have made it very clear that the police have no right to grant administrative bail that asks for civil servants to own, first and foremost, 100 million naira houses, which is a crime. That's corruption.
Omoyele Sowore is expected to be in the custody of the intelligence response team of the Nigerian police force, pending the ruling on his bail application. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Marai.
And right now, Joshua Marai joins us to share insight from his reporting. Also joining us is Hassan Taiwo Soweto, spokesperson, Youth Rights Campaign, and also legal practitioner, Barrister To Osiruja. Gentlemen, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. All right, so I'm going to be starting with you, Joshua. First of all, thank you for such a great report. You've been following the case from the courtrooms to, give us the reactions. So please, let's start with the basics. Can you please walk us through what led to Sowore's arrest? Apart from the video that we saw, were there any other details regarding why he was arrested and how the case has been tagged so far? Yes, Joshua, please.
What started as a mere invitation to Sowore, to the investigation department, the Intelligence Investigation Department of the Nigerian Police Force, actually triangulated from just being an invitation, then to what seemed to be a questioning, then into an interview. Then at the end of the day, we heard that Sowore is asked to bail himself with a level 17 civil servant who is in the position of a permanent secretary. And as you know, that is a political appointee. Now, the case just triangulated into something that we never expected. Because initially we thought Sowore was paying that visit to the police just because of the video he made some time ago on his way to the airport in Lagos. But unfortunately for him, this is just one case that is going to be a long drag for us, as Sowore will be experiencing a long court case because we are expected to go to court by the 8th of April. But however, the whole event just seemed to escalate quickly, because from where Sowore was at the Criminal Investigation Department at the Nigerian Police Force headquarters here in Abuja, we started seeing him making posts on his Facebook how he is not going to accede to the bail conditions given to him by the police, saying the police is asking him to bring a level 17 officer to bail himself. What went wrong was what we didn't know. And while we waited, no one told us that Sowore is being questioned for calling the IG an illegal IG. That is the bone of contention. The bone of contention is too big for everyone to swallow now, because Sowore on his own side is maintaining his stance that the IG is an illegal IG, citing the fact that he's over 60 years old, and citing the part of the police act that states that an IG is supposed to leave service immediately he's 35 years in service, or 60 years old, or Sowore is capitalizing on the or that states that the IG, once 60 years old, has to leave service. Now, the IG on his own part is maintaining his own stance that the presidency has given him the go-ahead based on the recent enactment that he has 4 years to stay in office. So that is the bone of contention. And what we all saw was Sowore being who he is, based on what he said he is, an activist who is maintaining his stance that the IG must leave. And he's so sure that when the case is being presented in court, he's going to win.
Okay.
Well, Joshua, many thanks for that. Let me just come to you and ask you, Sowore, many thanks for joining us, Sowore, by the way. On just this case, you've been following the case. What has been your initial reaction? And also, a 10 million naira bail, and then, in like sum as well, and also collecting his passport. What do you make of the judgment and just your reaction?
Okay, my reaction to the judgment is that bail is at the discretion of the courts. If you look at the charge, if you look at the offense Sowore was charged, until it's been proved, until the police prove their case, the conditions set up by the court is not bad, because it's at the discretion of the court to determine the condition that will be set up. 10 million naira does not mean Sowore is going to deposit that 10 million naira. It only means that the person that is going to bring should be able to what a net 10 million naira is when that condition is further, that the person may likely forfeit that 10 million naira. So it does not mean that he's going to deposit that money in cash into the court coffers. Then secondly, for his passport, I think is a known practice. Is a known practice, not that is a known practice that has become that has been taken judicial precedent of, that people of his nature, people of affluence, people of influence who have the means and ways of moving about. The best way to restrict them is to curtail. The best way to curtail them is to hold on to their passport. We know situations whereby people they may be considered flight risks, but I don't see Sowore to be of that person. But like I told you, it all boils down to what the judge feel at that particular point in time. As a matter of fact, the judge can decide not to grant him bail. But if the court has decided to grant him bail and set out that condition, two things is left for Sowore. Is either to accept the bail condition and deposit the passport or the 10 million, or alternatively, he can approach the Court of Appeal to vacate or reconsider the bail condition granted by the High Court, by the Federal High Court.
Sowore, let's go back to the genesis of this. This all emanated from the viral video of Sowore going to the airport and making a video of the Nigerian police, where I think there was an accusation, if I'm not mistaken, of extortion, but not to him. Now, this then snowballed into it being a case of cyberbullying, and then eventually we hear about the little details regarding the age of the IG. Now, if we take this from the start, it was seen as a case of cyberbullying. What exactly does the Nigerian law say about cyberbullying, and did that actually constitute cyberbullying?
Let me look at it from the foundation, looking at the surface of the charge. Well, to me, Sowore is more of a politician, an activist who metamorphosed into a politician. And one of the things that will keep him going ahead of his relevancy is issues of this nature, the controversial issues of this nature. And I believe the police as an institution would have been smart enough and more intelligent enough not to divulge themselves into such an act. One, let's look at it from the illegal statement made to the Inspector General of Police. The provision of the law that established the Office of the Inspector General of Police is Section 215 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that creates the Office of the Inspector General of Police. Then if you look at it, if you look at the Nigerian Police Act 2020, if you look at Section 7 states about the tenure, the appointment and the tenure of the Inspector General of Police. And let me correct this impression by Nigerians. The appointment of the Inspector General of Police is not solely the prerogative of Mr. President. It consists of the Nigerian Police Council, which is made up of all the governors and other stakeholders. And on their advice, that is the president will appoint. Then if you now look at what Sowore is banking on, I talked about Section 7 of the Nigerian Police Act 2020. Then what Sowore is banking on and what others are still banking on is Section 18. And if you look at Section 18 is a general provision. It's a general provision that talks about recruitment and appointment of police officer. Then if you look at it from that perspective, the law is clear and it's elementary to any lawyer and anybody in the society, is that when there is a provision of the law that is made specifically, when a provision of the law is specific as to an operation of the law, the general provision is subject to that specific provision. So Section 18 of the Nigerian Police Act is subject to the provision, is subject to Section 7 of the Police Act, which talks about a person who is appointed as the Inspector General of Police will serve a tenure of 4 years. That is that. No, it's not. So it's not binded by that Section 18 that talks about either 35 years or attain 60 years, where it's for the purpose of educating the public. Then if you look at it from the video, that I think the police ought to have informed Nigerians as to what happens to those officers, because that video released by Sowore is embarrassing to the Nigerian police as an institution. It's really embarrassing. It's very, very embarrassing to Nigerian police as an institution. Then the other thing again is the case of metamorphosing into cyberbullying. I think the Nigerian police as an institution needs to understand some certain things. Legal rudiment when it comes to the Cybercrime Prohibition Act is a new law, which I believe Nigerians are coming intent with. And I believe the judiciary has a lot of work to do to make public institutions like the Nigerian police to understand what this law is all about. And from all intent and purpose, there is no thing Sowore has done to have warranted the police to activate that particular law, because the Office of the Inspector General of Police is a public office holder. Is a public office holder. I think what I believe the police would have done, and I believe, is to educate Sowore to the extent of his understanding of the law, not to bring him into this thing. Then if you look at it on the other way, they are creating relevance. He has been in the public domain now, and it has become a discussion. And take it or leave it, for the next 1 week, Nigeria will be discussing, and that is what activism is all about. So it's his own style of politicking, and I believe that Nigeria police has fallen into that trap, and they are already in the mud, because it has exposed the extent of the Nigerian police understanding of the law.
You put it so well done, and thank you so much for that submission. Very, very instructive there. Joshua, let me ask you, in the courtroom when you were there and just observing the entire proceedings, what was the moment that stood out for you? A very critical moment that stood out for you in the courtroom, whether it's the appearance of Sowore and his team, or just basically the other opposition or the other side of the defense. The prosecution.
Well, every moment in the courtroom was a highlight for me because being in the same room with Sowore, the kind of person he is, someone who is known for his kind of activation. From the moment he stepped his leg into those courtroom, into those the courtroom particularly, he arose some kind of cheers from his supporters who were in the courtroom. Basically, most of those people sitting in that courtroom, you can see pictures from that courtroom. They are mostly supporters. You see the likes of Deji Adeyanju. These are people who have been known to be long-time alliance with who have formed long-time alliance with Sowore. And one particular time that stood out for me was when his charges were read to him. The moment they read from charge 1 to charge 11, he understood this charge and he pleaded not guilty to all those charges. When he came to count 12, he pleaded that the charge be read over again. Why? Because that particular charge was the charge that was re-amended because it was a 17-count charge that was later brought down to 16 counts as a result of typographical errors. So the whole thing seemed like a drama. And even the judge on his bench made a comment that stood out. He was like, these charges are generic charges because why? Most of those charges are in a way encapsulated that most of them consist of several assertions, pronouncements, statements that Sowore has made online about the IG, about the police, about the police PRO, about so many police officers and the activities of police that he finds are not okay for the society. Those are what is being used to charge Sowore in court. If you should have a copy of that charge sheet, you understand the magnitude of the charge. Basically, they are not just cases where he has had altercations with the police. No, they were not cited there. Just basically cases of cyber bullying and cyber attack or whatever the police can call it. However, but from charge 1 to charge 16 are basically tweets, Facebook posts of Sowore insulting the police or making assertions to some of the police or the police IG, and it evoked so much laughter in court that is the judge had to maintain calm in the courtroom.
Right. I wanted to stop you there when you were talking about these statements or these charges that were brought against him regarding the fact that these were just statements that were made online. So it takes us back to the Cyberbullying Act. And Barrister Sowore, if you would please. Now, when does the Cyberbullying Act actually cross into infringing on one's ability to or right to free speech? Because what it seems like now is like once you say anything that seems to be dissentive or anything that's opposing an authority, you would be tracked down. So when does it cross that line?
So surprised because you see, the Nigerian police are full of surprises. And I must say that the current Inspector General of Police should be very, very careful and should look at his legal and media team. Because I think he's going to go down the memory lane. Is the most his tenure is the most controversial, and who decide to listen to side talk rather than focus on the purpose of the Nigerian police force. If you look at the section critically on the surface of the charge, you will just laugh. And I believe the comment of the judge is for me. I think the judge has the power to quash so motu. When I mean so motu, that is even without listening to, in his own volition, in his own right, to terminate a charge that seems ridiculous, that seems that contravenes known law. Then when you talk about when it crosses, I think in all the statement, there is nowhere that the police is going to assert that the statement of Sowore was a threat to any member of the police. It's never a threat. It's never a threat. Neither will he say that that particular provision of the law upon which is in section 24, because I could see the new police spokesman when he tends to, I think the new police spokesman, I don't want to compel, but I think he has a lot to do. But when he wants to respond to issues regarding the police. The next thing is more or less a threat rather than education and also time admitting the fault of the Nigerian police. If you look at the provision in which he's being charged, you ask yourself, does he in any way mention public institution? It's about individual. And the only place it talks about association or corporation, it has to do with you trying to make exploitation when there is a threat to kidnapping, when there is a threat of life and all those stuff. But all the statements in question do not in any way relate to that. Because the office, like I will tell you, a public officer should be ready to absorb some level of comments or commentary that comes from the citizen. Because if we continue like this, that means the cartoons, you know, this cartoon column in newspapers, or these cartoon columns in all these articles we see every day, all those things will go down. So I believe that it only crosses or it activates that bullying when there is a threat. Not even the reputation is as to a diseased person. When it comes to the reputation, it's as to a diseased person. But when it comes to a threat, do you understand? A threat to life, issue of kidnapping, issue of insecurity. And I believe that those things did not occur by statement of Sowore. And as a matter of fact, for you to see the comedy in it, if you look at it, it's more or less like you ask, is the Nigerian police intelligent at all? This is somebody who said the Inspector General of Police is illegal. He was invited by the Inspector General of Police, and he attended the invitation of an institution that is headed by illegal person, as he asserted. It's comedy.
Right.
It's comedy.
The biggest question here is whether this sets precedents and what exactly, if this will continue to suppress dissent when it comes to speaking up against, just holding power accountable, or just really speaking your mind about how people see things and political activism in Nigeria. But gentlemen, I must say thank you so much for taking out the time to join us today. Joshua Maraya, our correspondent from Abuja, who's been covering this story. Many thanks for all of your hard work on this report, and also to legal practitioner Barrister Sowore. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. We appreciate you.